Welcome to another episode of Conversation and Cocktails with your host, me, Lenny B. In this episode, we sat down and talked to Dean Miller, vocalist of New York City hardcore band No Redeeming Social Value. We had plenty of cocktails and plenty of conversation, and, well, it's Dean Miller. What can you say about Dean Miller? Just gotta let those stories roll. So, roll that fucking footage. So, Dean, how you doing, man?
Good, Len.
Good.
Good.
There's something I wanted to say off the bat, because I guess there's certain no redeeming isms, and me and a few of the
a lot of those.
me and a few of the guys still to this day use them.
Yep.
And i.e. Mike Dixon, right.
Always, I saying it last night. I was saying it last night at band practice. Are you kidding me?
or club clothes, club shoes.
Another one last night at band practice. Of course, always got to. Yep.
Another one. I'm not trying.
I'm not trying
to sleep on no magazines.
Right. Exactly.
Or one that your brother seems to use. I choose.
Choose.
I choose not to.
I choose not to. Such and
Yeah,
such.
such
Well,
and
this
such.
and that. Yeah, that's another one.
And guy.
Guy is
Which
like,
is a Scott thing.
Guy is
Guy.
like yes.
Add it and go. It's like, and to this day, it's still in the.
That's good stuff.
It's still in our lexicon of words. I sit there and go, holy shit, this is shit, and these are most like stories I've heard from like Kevin Gill or like Pete the Meat. Because you hear things like. Oh, this is the best pickle I've ever had.
Guy. Right, and then next thing you know, you're throwing up.
It's terrible.
Yes. Yeah.
But these are still things that like pop up in our fucking lexicon.
Those things
words.
still crack us up all the time, man. All the time.
And we have to use the voices because Kevin Gill has made the characterizations. Whatever.
Yep.
So.
When I don't know the lyrics to a song at rehearsal, I immediately go into the Mike Dixon right. Like that's what I do over the microphone. That's my go-to shit. Yeah, that's like
no shit.
Yeah,
that's great. My God. So, I was actually surprised that you guys had a Wikipedia.
Yes, we do actually. Yeah, I kind of forgot about that. Yeah, I think that Mike Dixon put that together actually.
And so, How did No Redeeming actually start? Was it really a fucking talent show thing?
What was it? We started. Well, okay. So we started in my parents' basement in Queens Village.
Yeah.
My younger brother Kent, the guitar player, and a couple friends of mine got together, started jamming. And I heard what they were doing in the basement as I was studying for my exams or whatever. Went down there and they were like, "Yo, man, let's do it. Join up. Let's do this thing. Let's jam. Whatever." I was like, "All right, cool. Whatever you got." I played guitar at the time, but again, like they had a whole setup down there. They had a drum kit. They had everything. They needed a singer. I was like, "All right, cool, man. I'll do the singing thing. Whatever. You guys do your thing here. Whatever." But I was like, this is, silly. I just did it because my brother and my buddies were like, I hooked my brother up with my buddies because my brother was interested in playing guitar. And he was getting good at it. So I was like, hey man, my friends, they play instruments. I'll tell them to come over to the house and you could just jam with those dudes. Whatever,
Really?
That's how it kind of just took off from there. And then eventually we wound up, I think our first gig was either at like a local Catholic school cafeteria type of thing, like a battle of the bands, or it might have been at Queens College. I don't exactly remember.
Really?
It was one of those two things, but yeah, it might have been a talent show. That seems about right, though, for sure.
No shit.
Something like that. Like, hey man, you guys want a bunch of bands getting together, all different genres, like rock groups and this, and we were like, yeah, fuck it, we'll just.
So in other words, you kind of got sucked into Kent's trip.
Well, yes, kind of like that. I mean,
I was always wondering because I always figured, knowing you guys for so long, I always wondered if it was like, hey, fuck it, we're gonna start a band.
No, it was definitely not that at all. It was more like my brother is 6 years younger than me, so at the time, if I was like 16 and he was 12. And I went through a lifetime of wanting to play some kind of instruments, whatever, and my parents were always like, nah, you ain't doing that, just go to school, whatever. So I was like, all right. So then I had a guitar and I played, took lessons, this and that, whatever, but there was no real, you know, I was playing Eddie Van Halen licks and heavy metal tunes. There was no like, you were in a long hair band or you weren't in a band. That was it, you know? So I was like, yeah, cool, play the guitar, listen to music, whatever, it was cool. I was more into school at the time and just trying to get through that gimmick.
Yeah.
And my younger brother showed an interest, like he actually went out and he was like, yo, he's playing Nintendo. One day he's like, this Nintendo, fuck this thing, I want to play the guitar. So I'm like, wow, cool, man. So, all right, use my guitar. He's like, nah, dude, I need my own guitar. I'm like, all right, word, how you going to do this? He's like, I'm going to take this Nintendo, all the games, go into the store, I'm going to sell that shit, I'm going to take the money, I'm going to get a guitar. So, like, all right, dude. So I took him to the store, sold his games. He got enough money. He had some money. I lent him the rest of the money, went up to the local music store, he got his guitar, and like I never saw somebody take to something. So like he literally sat in his room and learned every riff of that Randy Rhoads ever played, like just by ear, just like let me hear what he said. Dude, all right, cool, I'm gonna do this, and that was it. Never took a lesson, nothing. That was it.
No shit.
Yeah, and then once he started getting better, then I was like, yo, jam with my friends. Like you guys, they like to jam, you like to do this thing, and my thing was like I wanted to keep my brother sort of out of trouble.
All right.
So I saw an opportunity to be like, yo, my friends are cool. They'll look out for him. Let's hook this up, and at least like, you know, it gives him something to do where he's not running the streets. He's over here jamming with my friends in the basement.
You kind of keep an eye on him,
right? If they want to smoke cigarettes, they want to have a couple beers. Fucking, at least it's here in my parents' basement, and I can keep an eye on him. He's not out on the street doing whatever whatever was going to go on. You know what I mean?
So you guys played your first show in '88?
We started playing in the basement in '88. We probably played our first show towards the end of '89 or beginning of '90. That was the show. Like it was either like the neighborhood Catholic school, because they used to run Battle of the Bands, or it was at Queens College because let me see, I graduated high school in '88, so then by '90 it probably was at Queens College, like some kind of talent show, and it was like by that time like the guys from the neighborhood, one guy, my buddy Rich from the neighborhood, him and Kent were jamming for a while. I met somebody, it was at college, because I met this guy Glenn, and me and him had similar musical interests like Black Flag or Suicidal or just whatever. We would listen to crazy shit at the time, and he was like, yeah, I need somebody to jam with, like I'm a drummer. I'd be like, oh word, my brother plays the guitar and my buddy Rich plays drums, why don't you guys get together and do a little thing? He's like, cool, great. So then it moved on to like, so we want to go to like a music studio and rehearse with like, you know, loud shit, whatever, that we can't do at your parents' basement. I was like, all right, word. I didn't know this music store, which was the place, it was like underneath the music store where Sick of It All practiced, and Token Entry and these other bands, probably local rock bands and stuff. And I knew the guy that ran the music store, and this guy Barry. And I said to Barry, I was like, yo, man, we need a place. We want to just get together and make this shit really loud, you know? Like, what can we do? You know, he's like, yeah, downstairs. I was like, I know, I hear guys practicing down there. Like, can we get down there? He's like, nah, man, it's their equipment. You can't be fucking around down there. So I'm like, I was like, well, is there a day that they're not there and we'll, like, pay you to use the space, or we'll pay them to use their equipment? And he's like, I don't know, man. Let me talk to these guys, you know, whatever. So I guess he talked to those guys. And like Sunday morning, like he's like, show up Sunday morning before we open, like whatever time. And I'm like, all right, cool. Sunday morning, we're walking down the stairs. Guys from Sick of It All are walking up the stairs. And they're like, who fuck are these guys? Like, go downstairs and use our equipment. Like, hey man, Barry said we can fucking use it. And that was it. That was like, I think they had their demo or something out at the time, maybe the 7-inch on Revelation. And it was just like, you know, we just started jamming down there, and then at the local music studios, and like Backstage and Bayside, Underground and Woodside, and eventually Jamaica Music Building when we got more established, and we were able to rent a place like on a monthly basis. But by that time, the band had changed dynamic. We had broken up, and then enter Mike Dixon. He came in, and the whole thing changed.
How does Mike Dixon come in as a second vocalist?
Well, that's Mike. So me and Mike met in college, probably like the first year of school, 88, 89, and he knew we had a band, and he came down to some band rehearsals. Because he was just hanging out, he liked music, and he was into like DRI and heavy tunes and stuff, and he came down to a couple of bands, like, yo man, we're gonna have some beers, we're gonna do some jamming tonight, why don't you come down, hang with us, whatever. All right, cool, whatever. He came down and played some gigs with that band, and we were like, you know what, we suck, dude. Like, we're just, we're just, you know, we had our fun with it.
Yeah.
It's cool. But fuck this, dude. I'm going to law school, so like I'm not fucking looking to the band thing. I'm looking to the future, you know. So he was like, nah, man. He's like, so we played a gig again at the local Battle of the Bands thing, and he came down to see us, and I was like, Mike, you know, this is our last gig, dude. Like, we're not really gonna play anymore. I just want you to know that, like, but we can still hang out, you know, like whatever. And he's like, no, man, you guys are making a big mistake, man. You guys are onto some shit here. I'm telling you, man. Bands aren't doing what you guys do, man. You guys do crazy shit. I'm telling you, guys, we could do something with this. And I was like, yeah, cool, dude, man. Let's just go get some 40s and just hang out at the park, man. Let's go, you know. So we went, and all night he's like, come on, man, you can't break up the band. You got to do this thing. And I'm like, why are you so like involved in this all of a sudden? Like, why should we stay together? Like, what? And he's like, nah, man, you'll see. Like, I can come up with some good ideas for you guys. And I was like, all right, look, man, cool. Maybe we'll put something together. We'll talk about it at school or whatever. So weeks went by, whatever. Kept going about it, kept going on about it. Finally, I was like, all right, dude. So we'll get another band practice together, dude, and we'll see what happens. I was like, we don't have a bass player anymore. He's gone. I got the drummer, Glenn. I got myself and my brother. We'll rent the studio like we always did. You can come down. I was like, so what instrument do you play? He's like, well, I used to play the saxophone in like grammar school, but I have it, but I don't really play it anymore. I was like, fuck it, dude. Just come to the practice anyway. We'll figure it out. We'll figure something out. Like, I'll play guitar or I'll play bass and you fucking play. We'll learn these songs. We'll do some shit, you know, whatever. He comes down, and we just went from there. And I was like, so, like, how can we work this out? And my brother's like, I don't know, dude. Like, Mike is cool. Like, we want him to be around. Like, he's a cool dude. And meanwhile, now my brother is, if I was, say, 18 or 19 years old, my brother is 6 years younger, so that's quite a, you know, he's like, the kid is 13 years old now, you know, and he's like, no, man, your buddy Mike from school, he's cool. Like, he buys me cigarettes, and he lets me drink beer, like, it's cool, man, you know?
He's enabling
right,
me.
Right. So he's like, so we were like, Mike, what do you do? He's like, I was like, look, let's just do this two-singer thing, right? I'll sing some songs, you sing some songs, or we'll both sing them together, and let's make this thing work, you know? And at the time, I had known about this band, my favorite band, the Six and Violence, who had two singers. So I was like, fuck it, if these guys can do it, maybe we can pull something off like that. And then eventually we found other members, and we just kept the thing going. I mean, Mike was a huge part of it. He's tremendous. If it wasn't for him, we would have broke up in like 1990 or whatever it was, you know?
So at this point, what do you have? Fucking Mike the Kid on bass?
We had Scott on bass. Scott was on bass. We had Glenn, his name was Glenn, on drums. Myself, Mike Dixon, and my brother. Glenn, we had a gig lined up, and our first like hardcore or punk gig, because we used to play with metal bands or rock bands, wherever we could get a gig just to do something fun. February's, yes, we played plenty of those gigs. So we had a gig lined up in Long Island with the Nihilistics, Fit of Anger, a couple other bands I don't recall, but and the drummer called us up, Glenn, and he's like, oh man, I had this accident, I dropped some shit on my arm, there's no way I can play these fucking gigs, like I can't play this gig with you guys. I'm like, oh fuck, dude, it's like, 3 days before the gig, it's like our first real like punk rock gig, like we want to be able to do this thing, man, like we've been rehearsing, we're working towards this gig, like we want to do it, you know? So we're like, what the fuck do we do now? So my brother's like, hey man, I know this guy. Like, I met him at a show at one of these Battle of the Bands. He was this weird dude, like dressed like a skater kid. He came up to me and gave me a demo tape of his band. This is the demo tape. And he hands me this demo tape of this band, Mark My Words. So I'm like, cool, let's throw it on, you know? Throw the fucking thing on. This guy was like, wow, this guy has the beats down. He knows what's up. Mike Dixon's like, fuck it, dude. Let's go to his house right now. Let's just go to his house. His address is in the fucking thing. If you want to, like, write to the band, here's the address. I was like, Mike, you can't just show up at somebody's house and fucking tell him he's gonna play the drums in your band. Like, that doesn't work like that. He's like, let's go to his fucking house. Get in the car. We get in the car. We go to Vinny's house. We ring, ding dong, ring the doorbell. Hello, Mrs. Verga, is Vinny home? Like, no, he's at school right now, boys, but if you want to wait, he'll be home in like half an hour. Like, all right, cool, you know, we'll just wait, you know. We're talking to his mom and stuff, like, hanging out, like, whatever. Like, we're like, look, he never showed, I don't think, but we were like, look, leave him this note. So we wrote him a note like, hey, man, we heard you got your demo. We got this band. We want you to play a gig. We want you to play this gig with us, whatever. Calls me back. He's like, hey, man, I got your note. You came by my house, my mom's house, to see me. We're like, yeah. He's like, when do you want to rehearse? We're like, well, fucking now, dude, because we need to do this gig in like a week or a couple days, whatever it was. He didn't know us from shit. This guy just shows up at my mother's house. He's like, all right, dude, I'm here to fucking rehearse. He brought his drumsticks and a snare drum, and he walked from fucking Merrick Ave all the way like through like Jamaica and Hollis to get to my mother's house, and showed up, and he's pouring in sweat, and we're like, fuck it, let's do it. We go to the Jamaica Music Building where we had a monthly room that we shared with another friend's band, the place was real sketchy and shit, but we had this rehearsal room where you bring in your own equipment and you lock the door when you leave, and it's your spot. There was like, 50 bands in the building or whatever. And we got completely wasted. We had like 40 ounces, and we just got completely smashed. By the end of the night, like Vinny, the drummer, who we just met like that day, now he's on like 5 floors up, and he's like hanging out the window, like he's actually out on the window ledge of the fucking building, like drunk as fuck with like a 40, like hanging on to the fucking window thing, like. And we were just we were so smashed that like my 13-year-old brother had to drive us fucking home. I was like, dude, you can drive a car, right? And he's like, no. I'm like, well, you're about to fucking learn, guy. So here's my license if anybody pulls us over, and here's the keys. Get in that fucker and drive us home. Next day was the gig. We were so fucking hungover and sick and whatever. We did the fucking gig, and that was the band for like, it was me, Mike, Vinny, Scott, Kent, for like years and years and years, We did that thing. That
was a core lineup. I remember
for a long time, yeah.
How did you come up with the name No Redeeming Social Value?
A buddy of mine, Jim Walsh, came up with the name. We used to jam before we had the band because I played guitar, and I used to jam with him and his brother and another friend, my buddy Rich. We used to jam in another basement in the neighborhood, and just writing stupid punk songs or whatever it was, rock songs, playing whatever we knew. Like, we used to play a lot of Tommy James and the Shondells. That was like a favorite band of ours, and we used to play like those riffs and shit like that. Terribly, of course, Black Sabbath, things like that. And once we got the band going and we needed a name, we were listening to a lot of Frank Zappa records, and on one of Frank Zappa's records, it's Frank Zappa versus the Mothers of Prevention. And there's a Supreme Court case. Ironically, it's Miller versus California. And I think on the album, what it is Frank Zappa playing, his crazy music over the soundtrack of that Supreme Court case. Because the Supreme Court case was the Supreme Court case set forth the definition of what is obscene. And what is obscene was deemed to be without redeeming social value. So my buddy Jim Walsh was like, you guys are always fucking wigging out on this Zappa shit, man. Like, you guys should call the band No Redeeming Social Value, because that's pretty much what you're up to here with your antics and the things that you're doing. And we're like, I took that home and I sat on it for a few, and I asked my brother, and I was like, we named the band this. Nobody's going to be able to spell it. nobody's going to remember what the name of the band is. Nobody's going to be able to say it, and nobody's going to know what the fuck it means. And we looked at each other, we're like, perfect, let's just do it. And that just stuck. And everybody, once in a while, we got an idea of like, yo, should we maybe? And everybody in the band was like, you changed that name, I quit today. That's it, that's the best name right there. We're like, all right, cool, man, we'll just keep it. That's good, you know?
That's great, man. That's really funny.
Yeah.
Being in a band with a sibling. Yeah. All right. I almost don't want to ask this question, but I'm going to ask it. I mean, do you want to murder your brother sometimes? And does he want to murder you?
Yes, for sure. No doubt. That's no doubt.
Because, I mean, you two have been the longest standing members, obviously.
Yes.
You know, you've gone through countless amounts of fucking bass players, fucking countless amounts of drummers.
Yup.
You know,
well, like spinals happen that way, man.
Yeah, you really are.
We run through people. And that is a testament to the people that my brother and I are, because we can fucking wear on your nerves big time if you get to know us. Like, where you get us in a van together, you get with a bunch of dudes, and shit just starts getting crazy. So
I've heard the stories. I know
people have. Oh yeah, man. It's a rough time. Luckily, all the guys in the band, I could say this for sure, I'm still friends with everybody that's been in the band. And, like, these guys are all my brothers. Kent and myself, obviously growing up in the same house, we never had that, like, sibling rivalry. You know, it was a situation where I always wanted to look out for my brother. I always wanted to make sure he was on the right track, doing the right thing. And I think the band was like an opportunity for me to sort of like give him something that would put him in the right direction.
Yeah.
You know, some people would say that's the wrong direction to put, you know, a 12 or 13-year-old in, giving him some beer, giving him, you know, whatever, messing around, whatever we were doing at the time. But I always told him, I was like, dude, I'm going to bring you to the show with me to the Ritz tonight. I'm going to give you my ID. You're going to be with my friends and shit. If I see you fucking around, dude, drinking beer, smoking, doing anything, dude, that's the last time I'm gonna fucking bring you anywhere. The last time. And when he would go to see gigs like, you know, Agnostic Front, Morbid Angel, Motorhead, all this shit, he dug it. And he was like, fuck this, I don't want to not go. My brother's bringing me, he's trusting me to be cool with all these people, like, I'm just gonna be cool. And then to the point where my friends would all be like, dude, your brother's so cool, man. What college does he go to? What? I was like, college? My brother's in fucking grammar school, man. Slow down, Holmes. Like, take it easy, man. You know? But there's been any time, like, there's certain times, of course, where we have come to fisticuffs. Like,
oh, I'm sure.
For sure. Like, one time we played with, I think it was H2O and Fahrenheit at the Pipeline in New Jersey. Before that gig, we were rolling around on my mother's living room floor, dude, punching the fucking shit out of each other. The dudes in the band had to break it up and be like, come on, whatever. But then 5 minutes later, it's like, all right, dude, sorry, I'm stupid. Yeah, I know, I'm stupid too. Peace, let's just go to the gig.
Your brothers,
you know?
this shit's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
Not in a really long time, thank God. We've learned to like be able to. There's nothing we can't work out at this point, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, this band is almost fucking 30 years old.
Almost 30 years, yeah.
Almost 30 years old. Mm-hmm. So you've learned to live with each other. You've learned to love each other. You're both family men. You know.
Yep.
And
exactly.
It's nuts because.
Yeah, man. It's been a serious, tremendous adventure. Like, I mean, yeah, it's more like I always my thoughts were to have a reason to keep my friends sort of together and doing the same things together for a long time that we can all share together. That would be like. There would be no, like, after you leave school, after you leave high school, then your friends move on to something else, or you get a job, or your friends move on here, or whatever, and then it's like you don't hang out with them anymore in many cases. But I was like, fuck this, if I have a central thing that we can all sort of gather or rally around, we might all just chill for a really long time together. Yeah. And that's how it worked out. I still hang out with these guys all the time. We practice once a week. I mean, you know, we're still doing the thing. That's, you know.
What music did you guys have growing up in the house?
None, really.
You really wasn't a musical type family?
No, zero. Like, my parents, if they had like some Lawrence Welk records,
It'd get busted on a
that
holiday.
was like a lot. Yeah, like I remember Johnny Mathis Christmas records. It was shit like that. But when I was a kid, I got my first Elvis record, and that was it. Then it was like everything's just turned around for me. Then I didn't really think of it in the sense of like, oh, I want to be in a band or make music or anything like that. But I was like, this is badass. This is something worth paying attention to. So I had my record player. I would come home, throw my Elvis record on, and just sit there and listen to it. Flip the side, listen to it again and again and again and again until I got like a Pink Floyd record or a Doobie Brothers record, or for Christmas, hey mom, I want like the new Police record, and she would bring, or the Clash record, and she would bring that, get it for Christmas, whatever.
How does it progress to hardcore?
Or
I could see you guys being more metal, actually.
Suicidal Tendencies was. I was definitely into metal first. Like when I was a kid, Slayer was my band. Like the first couple of records was like Haunting the Chapel and Show No Mercy. That was like, it blew my mind. And then from there I was like, oh well, I got this type of music. This is cool, because I always listened to like rock, like Van Halen, Led Zeppelin, all stuff like that, but I never thought, I didn't know the Clash was like a punk band. I didn't know the Ramones were a punk band. I didn't know that there was any kind of music other than, say, rock music. In my neighborhood, we had rap music was big.
Yeah.
So I didn't know there was, I could see the difference clearly between those types of music and disco, too, because growing up in the 70s, disco, that was, Donna Summer, shit like that. We had all that. And I knew the difference between the different types of music, but when somebody gave me a Suicidal Tendencies cassette one day, I was like, yo, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Is this serious, or is this a joke? And I just kept listening to it and listening to it and listening to it, and after a while I was just like, well, whether it's serious or a joke or not, whatever they're doing, this is awesome. They're doing the best thing it could do. And then, again, I hit my brother to it. And then after that, once I let my brother listen to that, it was my younger brother really that started getting into the Misfits, Dead Kennedys, stuff like that. And he was really, my younger brother was really the one that really went more the punk rock route, where I was more like a Led Zeppelin guy. And then he was just like, yo, this punk rock shit, dude, this is the bomb. And he used to play metal and punk rock with his friends. And I used to do a little bit too, but he was really more that guy. That was more him.
So you would say that Kent turned you on more than you
I
turned
would say
him
for
on?
sure, definitely.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, for sure.
It's fucking crazy, dude. Usually it's the older brother that fucking, felicitates,
Yeah.
the thing.
Well, if it wasn't for my stupid younger brother, I would have been going to law school. He ruined it for me.
You didn't go to law school.
Thank God.
Thank
God.
You're probably fucking miserable at this fucking bar. Like, I hate this fucking guy. I gotta represent him tomorrow.
I'm glad best decision I ever made.
How did the costuming thing and the themes come about? Because I remember quite a few shows where you and Mike Dixon come out cheerleader uniforms, and your brother would come out in fucking a onesie, with fucking fake tits and whatever. How does that evolve? I mean, where did you go? Hey,
Right.
let's dress up like this.
Well, that's okay. So before Mike was in the band, we used to do crazy things like this. Even at practice, we would do just nutty shit. Like we would all wear wigs at practice, or just some crazy shit.
Yeah.
But when Mike joined the band, he sort of he always says to me, he's like, me and you think a lot alike, except that you're 6 months behind me. He's like, we'll have the same thoughts. He's like, but you'll have that same thought 6 months after I thought it, type of thing. And I'm like, word, dude, you're totally right. And he's about 6 months older than me, so that's how it works. After Mike joined the band, Mike didn't want to just be a punk rock band. He's like, I just want to play every kind of music, man. I just want to do whatever comes naturally to us. And he's like, and remember this. His philosophy was, your friends are going to come and see you once. If they're really your friends, they'll come and see you twice. You better be doing something different the third time for the audience, because the entertainment value has to be in there somewhere. And the bands that we always sort of looked up to or tried to emulate, like the Six and Violence, for example, were always these just outrageous, crazy bands.
Yeah.
And it kind of came out of that idea, like, hey, what are we going to do for this next show? And we'd be like, what do you mean we're going to do for this next show? And he's like, we got to do something different than the last show. We can't just go up there and play these same 10 songs. And that just became our philosophy, and continues to this day. Like, we don't want to just go and play the same set. Like, we don't want to just go and do those songs again. We don't want to just come out and do the same thing we've always done. And because, quite frankly, we're kind of a one-trick pony. Like, our songs are our songs. Like, you know, you could probably learn them on guitar yourself, like, in a few minutes. So it's like, you have to provide something else. You have to provide entertainment. Music isn't just about, like, the audio thing. It's about visual, too. People want to come and see you for a reason. And if you're going to just stand there and do the thing the whole time and, you know, not move around. Maybe some bands are very talented and they got it like that. There are a lot of bands out there like that. We've always been more of the ilk of, you got to entertain people too, because the entertainment is what makes people have fun. And if people are having fun, then it's a good show. Beyond the music thing. Music is one part of what the thing is, but then the other part has to be the entertainment. If it's not, then we just would rather not. You know what I mean?
So I remember actually once we played a show and you guys had the chicken suit and the beers.
Yes.
And you're like, well, which one do you want to do? And I'm like, looking at it, like, the chicken suit seems very involved. It involves feet, this, that, and the other thing.
Suit.
And I was like, the beer thing is just a pullover.
Yeah, pullover, right.
And I remember you said to me, I was like, whatever you do, don't jump off the stage with the beer suit. The first thing I did, jumped off the stage with the beer suit.
Yeah.
Because I was like, you're not going to tell me what to do. Fuck you guys. And I love you guys, but no, you're not telling me what to fucking do. And,
well, it's punk rock. Nobody can tell you what to do.
And to this day, you still wind up roping somebody into the chicken suit and to the beer suits.
People come to us and they're like, hey man, do you have somebody to play the chicken tonight? Do you have somebody to play the beer tonight? Do you have somebody to play this thing tonight? You got somebody doing that tonight? And I'm always like, well, actually, we could use a little help. I mean, yeah, if you're into it, why not? I mean, but it is. I always tell everybody, I'm like, look, don't hurt yourself and try not to hurt anybody else, because you can't really see in that chicken, especially the chicken suit. The head is on. You can't really see what you're doing in that thing. And next thing you know, like you're in the pit and people are wailing out, and you're gonna get bashed. Or if you stage dive, like you can't see what.
Well, not for nothing. The Six and Violence, when they had someone come out with the gorilla suit, the gorilla would get fucked.
That's what I'm saying.
The gorilla would get fucked up.
Get beat up.
I would
exactly.
I've seen the gorilla get beat up plenty of times, and I always felt terrible about it.
Yep.
I'm like, ooh, that fucking really hurt this guy. I'm like,
That's why I'm always warning people. You see, Lenny.
No one hurt me. No one hurt me. They're not touching me.
It's supposed to be about fun. We don't want.
No. And I get
getting
that.
hurt is like that's the worst thing. I mean, forget it. I've been hurt many times at our shows. I don't want to see anybody else get hurt. That's for sure.
No, I hear that. I remember you guys. Us in Nova Redeeming, us in Fahrenheit used to share a rehearsal room down in the Flatiron District.
Yep. 28 West 27th Street. 28 West 27th Street.
Yes. And we and I remember when we would have shows on Fridays, we would show up to load our gear back into the room like 2, 3, 4 in the morning. And you guys would still be fucking rehearsing. You guys loved that Friday spot.
We loved it, dude. That shit was our clubhouse, man. Like, when we have a rehearsal, we do the band thing so we can get together on Friday night. Actually, now we do it Thursday nights. we still do it every Thursday night. We get together religiously, get a bunch of beers, we go down, we just jam for hours, we talk for hours, we sit on the couch, we jam some more, we talk some more, we drink some more beers, we hang out all night, sometimes until the sun comes up. Especially back in those days, dude.
Oh, yeah.
We were into all kinds of bad shit, and we used to hang out there like doing all kinds of stuff until the sun came up. And it was like, man, you know, that was part of sort of, for us, we never wanted to like go and join the softball league or this bowling team or any of that. Like, our Friday night getting together with our friends is all about like making music and jamming and sucking down some brews and just doing that, man. And when we shared that studio together, dude, that was like a sick clubhouse for us all.
Yeah, it was.
Us, you guys, and for a while Home 33 was
Yes.
in there. And we used to just, I mean, oh man, the things that we did in that place was crazy. But we used to hang out there till we'd go in and it was light out, and we'd come back, we'd stay overnight, and we'd come out in the morning and it was fucking light out again, and we're like,
I
where the fuck did
remember
the time
talking
go?
to Pete the Meat, and he would tell me like, "Yo, I left rehearsal like 7, 8 in the morning to
Yeah,
go back
man.
home to Brooklyn." And I'm like,
yeah.
get the fuck out of here. Plenty of nights where we would do the Friday gig, and we'd come back home like, you know, from wherever the fuck we're playing. It'd be like anywhere from like 12 o'clock to like 4 in the morning, and you guys would still be
there, man.
You'd still be there,
doing
fucking
the thing.
rehearsing, doing
We wrote
whatever.
the THC record there, and we wrote that whole record in that room just by hanging out like every Friday. I think it was, maybe we had Tuesdays and Fridays or something like that, or like we had 2 days of the week. But I know for what we religiously, we show up 1 day a week and we do the thing. And back then, Friday was the day, and we just would, boom, get out of work, right to the rehearsal studio, grab the beers on the way, get over there, man, and it was just party time. Like, that was, you kicked off the weekend, we would just jam all night long. We wrote a shit ton of songs over in that
I remember,
spot,
like I said,
man.
I remember loading the gear back in when we would come back from a gig, and it'd be like, "Yo, let's smoke a blunt."
Yeah, man, right? Yeah, word.
You know, like, it'd be fucking like, it'd be like 4 in the morning, like,
Yep.
you got 2 weeks, I got 2
Word,
weeks, let's go. You know, like, I really gotta
Yeah,
get
when
home,
you
but
guys are rolling in, that was the best, man. That place again, that was the best, man. Those were good times in that place, man. That was really, and even at that time when Fahrenheit was playing and No Redeeming was playing, it was like those times were like so much shit was happening for all of us, and we were just constantly, yeah, man. We could stay out partying all night, man.
yeah.
Forget it. That's just what we did. That's just what we did.
when you guys had Rocks the Party, that was originally supposed to come out on another label, but it ended up on SFT.
Yes.
You want to elaborate on that?
That is the make or break story for us. That was, if we had done the opposite of what we did, we would have broke up a long time ago. I just ran into Tom from Indecision at the Black and Blue Bowl, and we were sort of chatting about it outside. The thing was this. There was a record label that wanted us to do a record, but they wanted us to do a split record. Like, one band would be on one side, and the other band, and we would be on the other side of the record. Well, record.
Label?
It was a CD. Too Damn Hype out of Philly.
Okay, yeah, I remember them.
Met was
Yes.
the guy, Jeff. Really nice dude. He called us up and he's like, "Man, I like you guys, what you're doing, you know, and I want to make a CD with you guys. It's gonna be a split CD though. It'll be like half the CD will be you guys, and half the CD is gonna be this other band, Indecision." We're like, "Yeah, okay, we're familiar with Indecision. We both bands had 7 inches out at the time, and we're like, all right, cool. You know, we were just so excited somebody wants to make a record with us. We're like, yeah, sweet, this is great. So we went to New Jersey one weekend. We recorded the record. Let's just do it. One take, everything. Just go in there, make the record. We left the studio. We were all ready to go with it. We didn't have any ideas for it other than like as far as like anything beyond what the songs. Okay, we recorded these songs. That was all we had. Kevin Gill from SFT Records who I met at a show in the Bronx, maybe like a few weeks prior, randomly called me up on the phone and was like, yo, I heard you're going to make this record. You guys recorded a record. I was like, yeah. He's like, tell me a little about it. So I told him about the record and what our current record deal was. And then he's like, look, all I'm going to say is this. I'm not trying to take you away from the other guy. I just want to say this to you. I'll give you your own record if you want. You guys could do whatever you want. I don't care what you do. You guys want to... I don't care what you do on this record. Whatever you want it to be, you do it. It's fine. I was like, all right, cool, man. Like, look, I don't know, man. We're kind of committed to this dude, and he, you know, we'll see. I mean, like, we talk to the guys in the band and see what happens. At this point, we had paid for the recording, so we, you know, financially, it was all on us. I took it to the guys in the band at practice, and I was like, hey, guys, like, this is what we got. We know we were going to do this thing with Indecision on the other side of the record, like, or on, you know, sharing the CD with Indecision. But this guy called me up. You know, we didn't know him at the time. He was just the guy that put out the 25 to Life record. That was all we knew him for. And he said to me this, and we discussed it. We all took the matter home and slept on it. And Mike Dixon called me up the next day, and he's like, "Yo, I'm coming over to your house." And I'm like, "All right, cool, dude. I was like, "All right, cool." He's like, "Let's talk." I was like, "All right, cool." He's like, "Look, this is how I feel. I'm gonna tell you my whatever." I'm like, "All right, cool." He's like, "If we make a record with another band, we'll never know if anybody bought that record for us or for the other band." He's like, "I think that we should own our own success or our own failure." He's like, "I don't care if anybody buys our record, but I want it to be our record. I want to know we failed, or I want to know we succeeded on our own merits, not with the other band like sort of helping us, or people are buying it for that and we just don't know." And that thought like hit a chord with me, and I was like, word, this is what we got to do. Like, there's no looking back from this. Like, let's either fail or succeed right now, and then that's it. Like, I don't want to guess. I just want to know right out. Like, it's when you go out with a girl on a date. Like, yo, you like me? We're gonna go on a second date. If not, just tell me no. Don't make me call you again. Like, if you don't like it, like, let's just do it right now. So let's just lay all the cards on the table right now, and that's it. And then we started coming up with ideas for, like, yo, let's make a record cover, what we want it to look like, whatever. And then we started running with the idea. We're like, yeah, we like this idea. So then I had to call Jeff from Too Damn Hype and be like, so listen, I know all these things that we discussed and stuff, but like, we got this offer from this guy, and he's trying to start, his label is kind of starting to, he had, Jeff Too Damn Hype had put out a bunch of records already, Starkweather and all these established sort of metal bands, and we was thrilled to be on this label. But then I was like, oh, this guy's just starting this thing, and I told him the same thing, dude. I was like, look, we want to know if we're going to succeed on our own or fail on our own, and that's it. That's what we want to do. And he's like, you know what? I wish you the best of luck. I hope this works out for you, dude. He's like, you guys have the right idea. You're on the right track. I'll give you my blessings. Enjoy. And that's what we did. We just never went. We just fucking went headlong into it. That was it.
And I mean, Kevin Gill had some really good ideas back then.
Absolutely.
He really did. Yes. I mean, when Fahrenheit did our EP, I mean, really, it got recorded because of tax money that came back from me.
Oh, okay.
I got a couple of grand back on, I threw that back to the record, so. Right. And so we fucking like, hey, you want to put this out? He's like, yeah, sure. Whatever. And between that and, he really hit gold with like VOD. He really.
I was thinking about this earlier today because I knew that we were getting together, and I was thinking about back to the SFT days and just the different type of bands that were on that label and how he was able to procure all those bands. Every band had a different flavor.
Yeah.
There was no band that was the same, and every band brought their own unique style and thing into it, and there wasn't anything going on like that at that time. There was nothing happening like that at the time.
No.
And
because, I mean, even like a label like Wreck Age, which was a New York label.
it was all punk or hardcore records.
It was sort of a similar thing going on.
Right. Not that we're not punk or hardcore bands. Fahrenheit was, VOD it was. Shut Down.
Roguish Army.
Roguish was a rap group, but they had roots in the punk scene because of those cats.
Yeah.
Of District 9, 25 to Life, No Redeeming, like all these bands, Six and Violence later on. I mean, these bands were so different from one another, but yet Kevin Gill was able to bring them all together under one thing, and I think for a good period of time at that time, we were all out there working it so hard, and we were all sort of like charging towards a common goal. I mean, I don't think any of the bands would have existed had it not been for Kevin Gill and that record label, because I don't think our band would exist today if it were not for him, because I think that he had a vision for doing something, but he didn't want to do it like everybody else did it, and he wanted to do it differently, and he said, fuck it, like, I don't want every band to be the same. I want to pick different bands for different reasons, and I want to make them all different, but going in the same direction towards something.
Yeah.
And that really made all the difference in the world, especially at the time it was happening, because shit was jumping off at the hardcore scene at the time. I mean,
well, that's another question I have. During the 1990s especially, and, you know, there was quite the scene going on. I mean, I really can't say nowadays, because I do pop in shows, and me and Dean were talking about this earlier. As you get older, you tend to, I don't want to say fall off, but, you know, you try to get into new things.
You can't go out 7 nights a week, that's for sure.
No. It ain't like when you were in your 20s and you had no fucking rent responsibilities.
Right.
But at that point, you know, the 90s, you had just so many different fucking clubs. You had so much just, you know, a band on an independent label could fucking sell out of Tramps in Irving Plaza with no fucking problems. You know, and nowadays everything's moved to Brooklyn. It's a little different than it was back in, you know, 20 years ago or whatever it was. And it's funny to even say 20 years ago, because 20 years ago is fucking 1997.
Yeah.
You know? And that was a big year for a lot of us.
Absolutely. We did our first tour of Europe in 97, I think.
You know, and I mean, we did our first tour with our first, like, full, like, you know, week and a half or whatever the fuck it was with VOD at that point. They had just come out with a record on Roadrunner. And we went down the East Coast and back up again with them, and it was like, I remember we played Tramps, and the fucking ticket sale was like 1,200 people.
Yeah.
And I was like,
man.
Holy fuck, we're playing in front of a sold-out audience at Irving Plaza. This is nuts.
Yeah, man.
You know?
Yep.
And this is all based off of fucking just like the stuff like that we all laid groundwork with like Kevin Gill.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
We were all packed, you know. We would do a headlining show at Coney and sell it out. You guys do a headlining show at Coney and sell it out, you know?
He had vision for things, and we just worked the fucking tits off of it, dude. We were out there every weekend playing 3 gigs a weekend.
Easily.
And we were doing it like constantly, and it was... And you know, when you work hard at anything in life, the results show, but granted, luck is the residue of design. And I think that, like, you know, people can get lucky in life, that shit happens, but you're not going to catch the touchdown pass, like, at the last minute of the game because you're fucking lucky. You worked your way up to that shit.
Yes.
And you worked your ass off, and you worked hard to get to that
We all worked our asses off.
And we worked our asses off, man.
We did.
We were out there doing it all the freaking time, man. Taking any gig. Sometimes we played 2 gigs a night. just to be like, oh, fuck it, we're going to play more. We want to just play. We just want to get out there and play. And it was like, that's what we did at the time. And it was a good time for hardcore at the time, because I think the scene was sort of reinventing itself. There was a lot of, you know, the old bands were sort of still around and coming back. New bands like us were coming in, and the whole thing was just like crashing head on. The European scene was exploding, and things were just happening big time. And I mean, I know as far as we were going, we made sure we took advantage of every opportunity we had. Like any show somebody offered us, we were like, fuck it, we'll do it. We'll do that show. We'll do this show. Playing, yeah, you want us to play your backyard barbecue? Fuck it, we'll do it. No problem.
Yeah.
You know, like whatever we could do, we were out there doing it.
Most
man.
definitely.
You know, and in the end, it equals then you're going to sell out tramps. You're gonna, CB's is going to be packed when you play, and yeah, man, it was really something. I mean, there's bands out there doing it now. There's plenty of bands. There's plenty of great bands out there doing it now too. I just think that, in the sense of like venues to play, that's where things kind of fell off. Like, and that's a money thing. Like corporate, entities come in, buy out venues, and then you're not going to play the punk rock clubs anymore because it's not cost effective for a guy to keep a punk rock club open anymore.
Well,
it just doesn't work like that.
We were all involved in an article about a year or so ago.
Right.
Michael Stahl.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mike. I can't remember the exact name of your fucking article. I'm a little fucked up right now.
Yeah, no, it was an article, the one relating back to like the '90s scene and how Bond Street was involved and Coney Island High, Castle Heights.
Yeah, we
mentioned a lot of those.
Around.
Hardcore in the '90s is basically what it was.
And I remember we walked around and we did a lot of different, photos in front of a lot of different places.
Yep.
And it was actually the last time I saw Virginia Crest.
Yeah.
God rest her soul.
Peace.
And I just remember, I was like, oh my god, used to be fucking like a few hundred people in these like places.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
Every weekend, Coney.
Yep.
It was not uncommon for Coney to have 300 to 500 people in it.
Yep.
It was not uncommon for CB's to have 500 plus.
That's right. That's right.
It's wetlands too.
That's right. Yeah, it was, and because things were going on a consistent basis too. Every week,
Yeah.
clubs had shows every week. I was thinking today too how like, wow, there'd be a show going on at Coney Island High, and at the same time there'd be a show going on at CBGB's. Slightly different genre of the hardcore scene. Like maybe like the Upper Side SFA would be playing over at say CB's, but like District 9 and Shutdown would be playing over at Coney Island High. Same hardcore scene, but slightly different thing going on. Or Wetlands would have a show, and then Coney Island High would have a show later on in the day. Or Continental would have a show, and then there'd be a show like at Tramps that day. Like there was so much going on at the time. Not the smartest thing to do to have two shows in one day if you're a hardcore promoter, but at the same time, it worked because there was so much.
Well, it wasn't a common
fruit on the tree, man.
Friday to Sunday, you'd have 5 or 6 different shows going on, and you'd have to like, what can I make?
Yup. Yeah.
All right, I can make the one on Friday. Can I make both on Saturday? Can I make both on Sunday?
One's early, one's later. Maybe I could do both. Yeah.
I'm gonna miss the opening band. I really kind of want to see that opening band.
Then you go to Green Door NYC for the after party shit. Yeah. You go do that.
It's kind of like crazy to think that, we had so many choices, and and we did this all pre-internet.
Yeah, man, it was all pre-internet.
It was all pre-internet, and that's what a lot of people have to realize, that pre-internet, you had to get out there and you had to shake hands. You had to fucking hand out flyers. You had to hand out demos. You had to, press flesh. And I think that that's something that a lot of bands nowadays don't really realize. It's like, you have the internet now. You have social media now.
The game has changed big
time. The game has changed. It's a lot different.
Yeah.
Bands are not making the type of money that they were making. I mean, not that we were all making tons of cash. None of us were. We were all still living at home with our parents at that point, but at the same time, I remember the first time, like Fahrenheit, for instance, played, like we headlined Coney, and we had like 350 people there, and I was like, wow, fucking 350 people showed up for us.
Yeah, man.
I was like, this is like, are you kidding me?
Shit was live back in the days.
Yeah,
man. I mean, it was. The scene was vibrant, and the scene was a very personal, face-to-face, person-to-person interaction. I I don't even think I had your phone number back in the days. I didn't need your phone number.
No,
we saw each other every fucking week. There was no reason to have somebody's phone number.
Well, it's like, I know I could fucking show up to pick up my gear on fucking Friday for a gig and be like, hey guys.
Right. And even if you had my phone number, it wouldn't matter because I wouldn't be home. I'd be at a gig and you'd probably be seeing me there anyhow.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter.
I mean,
it was a very personal face-to-face interaction. And that's why I think, like, even after these years have gone by, like, many of us are still friends. Many of us are still in contact with each other. I mean, beyond the social media thing, beyond any of that, it's because, man, we were brought together and we were put together and we stayed together and we interacted together for a reason. And that reason really stuck with all of us. And I think that is a special thing that I'm just so thankful to have in my life. I mean, if you're in any other music scene in the world, where the hell would you experience that? I know for a fact, because I listen to all kinds of music, you don't experience that.
No.
Hardcore scene is different in that way, that you are, thank God the bands have a place to go and the people have a place to go and the community is like, to take a quote from Raby's playbook, the scene is as one, that we are all together, because that doesn't exist anywhere in the world, at any other any other aspect of your life, at any other time of your life. And look, we're both much older now, and I still can go to a show any Sunday or Saturday or whatever and see Ratbones there.
Oh yeah.
I can still go to a show and see like Ryan from Home 33 there. That to me is a special thing, and I'll never ever. That's like one of the greatest things that's happened to me as an individual and us as a band through the hardcore scene, is those type of connections, and that's really what it is all about. And I think if you can exist on that level, that's all the success or profit or pay that you could ever hope for out of the thing. I really do. I think that's really what it's all about.
So what's the future hold for No Redeeming?
The future. The future is unwritten. Even from the beginning, we never planned on doing anything. I'm a big fan of living the moment. So, at the moment, we have a new record. It's already tracked. It's written, recorded. We still have to do vocals, maybe a couple guitar overdubs. We're working on a video for one of the songs. We're going to be putting out a single with Pitchfork, our old buddy Warren, his label. We're going to be doing a single on his label, and probably like a full length to follow based on all the songs. We're about 12 songs or 13 songs written, recorded, ready to go. Beyond that, I don't know, man. Like I always say, I'm just happy that we can still get together once a week, every week, and hang out, have some beers, and rehearse, and do a gig once in a while. Like that's what we'll do until we die, hopefully. I mean, we could have. I could have chosen any art form in life. Like I enjoy painting, I enjoy drawing, I enjoy tattoos. Obviously, I enjoy music. I enjoy all different art forms. But I guess this is the one that we chose to stick with as a group, and we're just running with that. Like until it. Yeah, that's it, man. I don't think anybody has any plans on. Quitting anytime soon. Like it's me, Kent, John Franco, and Glenn, and occasional Mike Dixon here and there, and occasionally Vinny will show up and do some stuff. And in the recording that we have, as far as we're doing the vocal tracks, we're going to involve everybody, and it's always a group effort, and we're always trying to keep it like that, and to keep like the same thing we've always done, just keep all the friends together doing the thing as a just to have fun doing it together. Like it's always a crazy adventure.
Any closing comments? Any advice for new bands coming up?
Advice for new bands coming up. That's like a philosophical question. I don't know. It's advice for new bands coming up.
Don't do it as a trap.
No, I would never say that to anybody. Like my children are both musicians. My daughter plays the drums and my son plays the guitar, and I always encourage them all the time. It would make me so proud if they did that for a living, or just somehow enjoyed that for the rest of their lives. So I guess I would just say, like, enjoy the people that you're with, enjoy the music that you're making, and continue to put your heart into it. Like, that's really what it's about. I mean, that's really, if that's your passion and that's what you want to do, go balls to the walls with that shit. Like, that's the way to go. Me and you, dude. We know so many friends of ours that I tell people that, that don't know anything about hardcore and punk rock music all the time, that, oh, wow, I have so many friends of mine that are touring the world right now with their bands and are doing, like, they're on the biggest stages everywhere right now. It's because they went balls to the walls with it, and if you want to do it, man, you could do it too. H2O, Sick of It All, Slayer, the Misfits, all these guys, man, they're out there doing it. God bless them. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, I think that's just the greatest thing ever. And music is a gift to your life, and you should always pursue it if that's what your passion is and that's what you want to do. A lot of people will say, "Oh man, being in a band is hard. You should quit. Fucking give it up. Whatever." No way, man. Just fucking do it. Whatever you got to do to make it happen, to fulfill your dreams, you got to do it.
All right, Dean, I thank you for everything.
Always, brother.
Always. Be good.
You too, man.
Peace.